had a couple of DMs with regards to how I prepare the food for the kittens. Apparently it wasn't very clear in the last video, and I apologize for that. Obviously, you know, making videos and content is not really sort of the main thing that I do, so I'm just sort of learning with everything. But I thought I'd make another video to show you guys exactly what I do and how I prepare the food for the kittens. Rather than just putting down a plate of pre-done mince, I'll show you exactly how or what I do to roughly achieve the percentages that I described in the kitten care video. What I did was I went to the butcher's. I just went down the road because I've just had surgery. So I had surgery last Thursday, so I'm not really able to drive. So I just took a really slow kind of walk to the butcher's down the road. We're lucky that we've got one there. And I just got whatever they had in terms of pet mince. When I took it back, I noticed that the composition is quite a little bit different from what I'm used to. So I think they put a lot of organ meats in there, which is really, I mean, it's good, but it can be a little bit rich, I sort of feel, for the kittens to have in large quantities. So where I normally go is really convenient, but it's a little bit further away. And because I am not really supposed to be driving at the moment, I can't go down there to get what I would normally get. And that butcher, because he works, you know, his place is right next door to where I am. He knows me really well, so he knows exactly what kind of composition I need and what I want for my kittens. So he makes it up specially for me. So he knows that I like a lot of fat in the mince that I give to the kittens, and gives me that sort of breakdown of the variety that I explained. With this one here, I sort of had to make it a little bit from scratch because when, like I said, when I got the mince from the butcher down the road, it had a lot of organ meats, which you know, can be quite high in vitamin A and some of the other vitamins, which, you know, if you're feeding it to them every single day, it's probably can be a bit much. So I also went down to Foodland, because Foodland is down the road as well, and got what they had in terms of pet mince. And what they had was this sort of quite lean looking mince. I think there's got a lot of kangaroo in there, so, you know, there's not as much fat in there that I would like. But what I intended to do to show you in this video is mixing the two together, so to get a roughly ideal composition. And then what I would do in terms of adding in that raw egg, you know, adding the cheese in, how I freeze the bags. So after I've made the mix, I make a big bowl of it, and then I basically portion it out. I do a really bad job of portioning it, but I do my best. So I portion it out into bags, and then I sort of squish it down to get all the air out of it, and then I freeze it flat. So the reason why I freeze it flat, so there's a couple of reasons. Number one is my freezer is really small, so I don't have a lot of room to be keeping, you know, tons and tons of big bags of mince. It's like a slab, and you can actually dice that up. So you can grit it, and then you can break off or cut it into little cubes, frozen cubes, and you can use that as behavior rewarding treats for the kittens, and that's really good for them, and they, you know, really look forward to that in between their raw feeds. So I find that that's quite an effective and cheap, relatively cheap way of, you know, giving them food and, you know, rewarding behaviors that I'd like to encourage. So those are the things that I tend to do here in the cattery. So without further ado, I will show you what I do, and hopefully that'll make it a lot clearer to all of you. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make a mix. Grab a bowl, got my spoon, putting that muscle meat into there. Okay, so maybe I'll start with that much. Have my organ meats. Just got that in there. Mixing it up. So it's too rich if you give them just the organ meat and mince on its own. So it's really a really good idea just to try and blend it through so it's just not so rich. You know what? Just like empty it all in. Okay. That was my last of my cheese, so I'm going to have to go and get a little bit more today.
So pretty much just like this. So it's all mixed in. I put my cheese in, and now I'm just going to portion it out into these plastic bags. The amount that you portion out obviously will be what's right for your amount of cats and kittens. For us, this amount here would probably be 1 meal. And then obviously remove anything that hasn't been eaten. So I've still got a little bit left. And we would use that to make treat balls, just smaller portions, individually frozen, which we can just, you know, hand out during the day in between. I don't think that this mince is that good. I think it's quite lean. They probably used a lot of kangaroo, I'd say. So, yeah, if you can get it from your butcher, and just make sure that you tell them that you want it with a lot of fat in there. That's probably the best thing to do. I can see the fat in this, so this bit here that I got from the butchers, so that's good. And that one's got less cheese in there, so you know, we might crack an egg in there or something like that. And that can all be frozen again together. I think trying not to get it everywhere is probably the hardest bit of it. Okay, so this one's got very little cheese in there, so let's put in an egg. We would probably only do this like maximum once a week, so just got mince everywhere. So about half full. One of these bags half full. Oh, that's the first one that I made, which has way too much in there, so I'm gonna take that and make that just a little bit smaller, and that'll be good. That'll get some cheese into that one. I always need to go back and readjust my portions. Obviously a pretty bad judge of it doing it beforehand. If you squish it flat and you try and get all the air out of it as well, it just makes it so much easier to store in your freezer. You have all these excess air pockets and you can sort of lay it flat. So we would freeze that and then bring it out again, obviously, when you need it.
You don't have to do this all the time. It's just what we do, especially when we're working with really young kittens here in you know, the cattery, but I was going to say pharmacy, but in the cattery. But it would be something that you could do, and you can do it in bulk as well. So we would, even here, we would do it sort of maybe like once a week, and we would, you know, slab it all off and then use that for all our cats to keep them in the best condition that they can be in. So for you guys, like if you were to do it, you know, like a big batch and freeze it all off for, you know, like a month or a couple of weeks at a time, I think that would be plenty sufficient. You can always supplement, like most of you know, and like what I showed you in the last video as well, in the kitten care video, we also leave out kibble for our young kittens. So I like to let them be able to graze in between. They don't eat a whole lot of it, but at least there's something there. So if they do get really hungry, or, you know, if I, because of my health issues, you know, need to sleep in, or I get too busy and I missed a time frame for them to, you know, have their morning meal or their evening meal, I'm not stressing out that I haven't fed the cats, you know, they haven't got any food to eat. So otherwise it'd be climbing the walls and literally it'd be chaos when I came back in. So that's pretty much the way that I manage feeding the kittens here in the cattery. Obviously when the kittens get a little bit older, or the older breeding cats, we don't always leave, you know, kibble out for them. Depending on their weight, we would better try and manage that. So portioning out, we would feed, again, a mainly raw diet, and then we would portion out additional kibble, which we would leave, but that would be a set amount every day. So it wouldn't be, so here with the younger kittens, for example, we just keep topping it up. So as it gets low, we just top it up. So there's always kibble there. That's just what we do. And the kittens know that there's always something there for them to snack on, but they really look for those main meals every day. So they hang out for the morning meal, they hang out for the evening meal, and their lunchtime meal. For the wet food, you know, they really wait for that raw diet for us to feed them that. But you know, if we, for whatever reason, you know, we were out or we couldn't make it back in time, you know, then they kind of go, oh, she's late, I'm hungry, much like a little kid, and then they'll go and snack on the kibble until I came back home, and then I would feed them then, and that usually keeps them quite happy. So so far so good. All our kittens steadily put on weight, and we don't have any real issues with regards to obesity, which is something that can really happen in miss, especially older miss. So you know, this diet will really help with that weight management. So yeah, hope that you found that interesting, and I hope it cleared up a lot of the, you know, the explanations that I didn't really give very well in the first kitten video. Yeah, I just come out of hospital, of surgery, and my brain sort of wasn't really in it, but I was also bored, and I actually made that last video from my hospital bed, so it was pretty interesting. Fun to do, something to do while you're just lying there and can't do anything. So yeah, all right, see ya.
This is like my excess bag from all my bad judgment. But I reckon that this bag probably has the best variety. I got it on the table. It's so deceiving. Like, you think that there's not much in there, and then you realise, gosh, there's actually quite a lot. And so, again, you can see how flat that is. Just walking that over to the freezer. The others are. And that's it.